Hello everyone, welcome to EduMune Tutorials. I am Keetna teaching you the topic Computer Networks. In the last class, we have completed the topics Introduction, Network Hardware and Network Software. In today's tutorial, we will see the remaining topics. First one is the reference model. There are two reference models. First one is OSI reference model. OSI means Open System Interconnection Model. It consists of 7 layers. The 7 layers are: first one is the application layer, next is the presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer and physical layer. Here, each layer consists of some protocols. Now we'll see each one in detail. First one is the application layer. It is used for network applications. For example, like Google, Firefox, Gmail, it uses the protocols like HTTP, HTTPS, FTP and etc. These protocols from application layer which perform user activities. For example, file transfer. It is done using a FTP application. And whereas web surfing, it's done using HTTP protocol. These are the functions of the application layer which we have discussed. Now, next is the presentation layer. Presentation layer, it receives the data from the application layer. This data is in the form of characters and numbers. It performs 3 different functions. The first one is the translation. That is, it converts the characters into the binary form. Next is the data compression. Here it reduces the number of bits. This function is known as the data compression. It can be 2 types, lossy or lossless. And to maintain the integrity of the data, encryption and decryption is used. For that, it uses SSL, that is Secure Socket Layer Protocol. This encryption and decryption is done at the sender side, whereas the decryption is done at the destination. These are the functions of the presentation layer, which we have discussed in the previous slide. Now next is the session layer. For example, if you have planned a party and you hired helpers, they will help you to setting up, assisting, cleaning and closing the party. The same is as a session layer. Session helps us in establishing a connection and helps in managing it. It helps us, the sender and receiver, to establish a connection as well as a termination of the connection or a session. Here the helpers are the APIs. Just before establishing a connection, authentication is performed. That is who you are for this server. That is, authentication is done using a username and a password. Based on that, you are authenticated. After you are authenticated, the next process is authorization. It helps us to check what type of data you can access, and it also keeps us the track of the text files which you download. This is known as session management. These are the functions of the session layer. Next is the transport layer. The functions of the transport layer which you have to make a note on, that is, first one is segmentation, flow control, error control, connection and connectionless transmission. First one is the segmentation. That is, it helps us to divide the data into the small box. Like a large amount of data, it can be disintegrated into small box. That is known as segmentation. Whereas the flow control, it helps to control the amount of data transmitted using checksum rule. And it uses the protocols like TCP and UDP. It performs 2 types of services. That is, first one is connection oriented and next one is connectionless oriented services. UDP is faster than TCP and UDP do not provide any feedback to the user, whereas TCP provides feedback. So when our data is lost, we can retrieve it very easily. Example of UDP is video games, whereas the example of TCP is www, that is the World Wide Web. It passes data segments to the network layer. These are the functions of the transport layer, which we have discussed, that is segmentation, connection control, flow control, and error control. Error control is that without any damage or loss of duplication of data, that is, the data should not damage or it should not be duplicated or replaced. Here, as we have discussed, the transport layer transmits the segments to the network layer. And this network layer helps in transmission of different data segments which is received from one network to another network. Here the data units are known as packets. In this is the layer where the routers reside. The functions of this are logical addressing, routing, and path determination. Logical addressing uses IPv4 and IPv6 addressing mode. Each computer has a unique IP address. And routing is a process where the data packets move from the source to the destination. And path determination is done by routers which chooses the best path. Like if we want to transmit data from the sender to receiver, it chooses the best possible path with the low cost. Next is the data link layer. It receives packets from the network layer, which contains IP addresses of both the sender and the receiver, that is the destination. It helps the upper layers to access media using frames and controls how data is placed, received from media, that is media access control, and it also helps in error detection. Next is the physical layer. Here it converts the binary sequence which is received from the data link layer into bits. That is, it receives in the form of binary digits, and this binary digits it will be converting into signals which are transmitted in the form of copper wires or optical wires or in the form of radio, which is a wireless thing. These are the functions of the physical layer. That is line configuration. In that it can be connection, that is point to point or multi-point. And the next is physical topology. So it is nothing but how the way the computers are connected, and there are different type of topology, that is bus, star, mesh, and how the data is transmitted in the physical layer, that is the transmission mode. It can be simple, half duplexed or full duplexed. At the sender side, it starts from the physical layer to the application layer. This is the sender side, whereas at the receiver side, it starts from the application layer and comes down to the physical layer. Next model is TCP and IP model. The full form is Transmission Control Protocol, and IP is Internet Protocol. It consists of 4 layers. The 4 layers are application layer, transport layer, internet layer, and host to network layer. The functions of the TCP/IP layer. The physical layer do not have any specific protocol like in the OSI model, and the network layer, similar way there, it supports the protocols like ICMP, IGMP, and etc. And the transport layer functions are same as the OSI model, which is responsible for delivery of messages. Then the application layer is application layer is a combination of the session, presentation, and application layer of the OSI model. But the protocols used here are almost the same as the OSI layer. See, here is the difference between the OSI model and the TCP/IP model. This is where you have to pay more concentration, and this is the most important question which will be asked in the exam. So let's see the difference. In OSI model, it contains only 7 layers, whereas in TCP/IP model, it contains 4 layers. And in OSI model, it supports both connectionless and connection-oriented communication. Whereas in TCP/IP model, it only supports connectionless communication. And in OSI model, we can easily able to distinguish the services and protocols. Whereas in TCP/IP model, the protocols and services are not clearly differentiable. See, these are the application layer protocols which are used in TCP, that is HTTP, FTP, and in transport layer the TCP and UDP, which we have discussed in the previous slide. Now coming to network example. What is an internet? An internet, it is a vast collection of different networks that uses a common protocol. This is known as an internet. The examples are, first one is the ARPANET. The full form is Advanced Research Project Agency. Here it helps the professor and student to share their research work, and it uses packet switching technology to interconnect 4 nodes. Hence, the network is divided into subnets and host computers. The subnet consists of mini computers known as IMPs, that is Interface Message Processors, connected by 56 kbps transmission lines. For high reliability, each IMP would be connected to at least 2 of the IMPs. Here, even if some IMP or lines were damaged, it still worked for the others. But the main disadvantage is that software is needed to connect, to provide the communication between IMPs and also between the host-to-host protocol. That is the main disadvantage here. Next one, coming to NSFNet, that is National Science Foundation Net. It was established to ensure network communication remains available for the scientists and engineers. It is the backbone regional mid-level network. Now let's see the architecture of the internet. Computer is connected to an internet service provider, from whom the user purchases internet access or connectivity to help to exchange packets with the host. DSL. DSL is the short form for digital subscriber line. It uses the telephone lines that connects to your house for digital transmission. That is your cable connection, telephone like landline wires. DSL modem that converts the digital packets to analog signals. This DSL model converts the digital packets to the analog signals. And on the other hand, a device called DSLAM, that is Digital Subscriber Line Access Multiplexer. It converts between signals and packets. Modem. Modem is a device that converts between digital bytes and analog signals. That is, we have discussed DSL modem. Next, cable. Cable, this is a TV channel cable wire, which is a regular TV channel cable wire. And on the other hand, it is known as a CMTS, that is Cable Modem Terminational System. The next is FTTH, that is the fiber net. Fiber to full form is fiber to home. It uses optical fibers and helps to increase the connection speed. For example, ACT, Geo, there are so many fiber net coming up now. The path of the packet depends upon the ISP and the routers. These routers provide the shortest path to reach the destination from the source to the destination within a short span of time. The next, coming to third generation mobile phone networks, which is simply known as 3G. This is the latest mobile communication. It is a cellular network. Here, the entire region is divided in the form of a hexagon regions known as cells. Each cell consists of a cell phone tower, which is also known as a base station. A mobile phone is connected to a tower. That is, a mobile phone is connected to a base station. This base station is again connected to RNC, that is radio network controller. There is a technique called handoff or handover. Handoff means, for example, when we shift from one base station to another, then it is known as handoff. For example, if we are traveling from one area to another, say for example complex to beach road, and you are talking with your friend while traveling. First, your phone will be connected to the nearest base station. So that is RTC complex radio station. As you are traveling, the mobile phone shifts. As you are traveling, the mobile base station will shift from one base station to another base station to have an uninterrupted signal. And here there are two types of handoff. First one is the hard and the next one is the soft. Soft handoff is when you are not disconnected from the present base station but you are still connected to the next base station. This causes an interruption while we are talking. Then the next one is hard. Hard handoff is disconnects from the first base station and then connects to the next base station. Here you do not have to face any interruption while we are talking. The next example is wireless local area network, that is wireless LAN 802.11. Networks are made up of clients such as laptops, mobile phones, and infrastructures are called as APS, that is access points, that are installed in the buildings. Access points sometimes are known as base stations. This is an active access point, that is in other words base station. It is connected to 3 different computers. This is a wireless network. Whereas next is the ad hoc network. Here the systems are interconnected between each other using a wireless fashion. And in ad hoc network there are no access points. Next is the RFID, that is radio frequency identification. It uses electromagnetic fields which automatically identifies and tracks tags that are attached to the objects. These tags contain electronically stored information, and these tags are embedded with a receiver and a transmitter, and they are made up of 2 parts: tag or a label. It stores and processes the information, and whereas the reader it reads, that is the antenna. It is used to receive and transmit the signal. The tag responds with the information written in its memory, and that is transmitted through an antenna, and whereas the reader reads that information. This is how the tag works. And RFID has many applications. For example, in retail, library system, and hospitals, schools, colleges. It is a wide range of applications. Thank you. If you have any doubts, please comment in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe, like and share our channel. Thank you.